Every day, millions of people walk into a Jollibee restaurant somewhere in the world. Some are grabbing a quick lunch before heading to work. Some are celebrating birthdays with their families. Others are overseas Filipinos looking for a taste of home. Today, Jollibee Foods Corporation operates thousands of restaurants across dozens of countries through a growing portfolio of brands. It's one of Asia's largest restaurant companies and one of the Philippines' greatest business success stories. But none of this was inevitable. 50 years ago, there were no Chicken Joy, no Jolly Spaghetti, no birthday parties inside brightly colored restaurants, no global ambitions. There were only two small ice cream parlors and a question that customers kept asking. May hamburger po kayo? Most business owners would have answered that question with a simple no. After all, they weren't in the hamburger business. But one family decided to listen instead. That decision changed the course of the entire company. And today, it has evolved into something even more ambitious. Not just a successful fast food chain, but a company trying to build a global restaurant empire. How did an ice cream business become one of Asia's largest restaurant companies? And as Jollibee continues expanding around the world, can it become a truly global powerhouse? I'm Fitz Villafuerte, and this is Business Untold, the stories behind the brands we know. There's a common belief in entrepreneurship that a successful business begins with a brilliant idea. Well, sometimes they do, but more often, it begins with someone paying attention. In 1975, Tony Tan Caktiong and his family opened two Magnolia Ice Cream House franchises, one in Cubao, the other in Quiapo. Their business plan was straightforward: sell ice cream, serve customers well, grow the business. Magnolia was already one of the country's most trusted food brands, making it a logical choice for first-time entrepreneurs. The stores offered exactly what customers expected: ice cream, sundaes, banana splits, cold desserts for the Philippine heat. Business was good. But something unusual kept happening. Customers would walk in, look at the menu, and ask, "May hamburger po kayo?" The first few times, it probably didn't seem important. But the questions didn't stop. More customers asked, then even more. Soon, a pattern emerged. And in business, patterns matter. Because a pattern isn't just a coincidence, it's information. Many entrepreneurs become emotionally attached to their original idea. They spend years trying to convince customers to want what they're selling. The Tan Caktiong family did the opposite. Instead of asking, "How do we sell more ice cream?" they asked, "What are our customers trying to tell us?" So they experimented. They added hamburgers, hot dogs, simple sandwiches, not because they wanted to become a fast food company, but because they wanted to serve their customers better. Then something remarkable happened. The hot meals started selling better than the ice cream. The product that customers requested became more successful than the product the business was built around. And it forced the family to confront one of the hardest questions every entrepreneur eventually faces. What if your original idea isn't the best idea? What if the market has discovered a better business than the one you planned? In modern startups, there's a term for this: product market fit. It's the point where a business stops trying to convince customers and customers start pulling the business toward growth. For many companies, reaching that point takes years. For Jollibee, it began with listening. And that would become the first principle behind everything the company built afterward. Finding an opportunity is one thing, but building an entire company around it is another. By the late 1970s, the evidence had become difficult to ignore. Customers weren't coming primarily for ice cream anymore. They were coming for the burgers. Meanwhile, the business continued to expand. From its original two stores, the family had grown to five locations. Growth usually feels like validation, but sometimes growth forces your hardest decisions because every new branch represented more investment, more employees, more customers, and more reasons to avoid taking risks. Yet the Tan Caktiong family realized something important. Staying with the Magnolia ice cream franchise meant staying in a business that customers were slowly redefining. Leaving it behind meant giving up the comfort of an established brand. It meant creating their own identity, their own recipes, their own systems, their own future. For a young company, it was a bold decision. And in 1978, they made the leap. The Magnolia franchise was discontinued, the five stores became a new fast food chain, and Jollibee was born. Their name and mascot reflected a philosophy. The bee wasn't simply a cute character. Bees are known for being hardworking, organized, collaborative, always building. Those qualities reflected the culture the company hoped to create. The cheerful personality of the mascot also made it instantly appealing to children, and that mattered. Because in many Filipino families, children often influence where the family eats. Winning the hearts of children wasn't just clever marketing, it was smart business. At that point, however, Jollibee was just a promising local restaurant chain. Its biggest challenge wasn't attracting customers, it's surviving what came next. Because in 1981, the world's most recognizable fast food company arrived in the Philippines, McDonald's. For many observers, the outcome seemed inevitable. The local chain would eventually lose to the global giant. History, however, had other plans. When McDonald's opened its first restaurant in the Philippines in 1981, it wasn't just another competitor entering the market. It was one of the world's most successful companies. By then, McDonald's had already perfected a business model that had transformed the fast food industry. Its golden arches were recognized across the globe, and its systems for operations, consistency, and expansion had become the benchmark for restaurant chains everywhere. For a young Filipino company with only a handful of stores, this should have been intimidating. Many local businesses, when faced with a giant like McDonald's, make the same mistake. They try to become a smaller version of the market leader. They imitate the products, the advertising, the store design, the customer experience. But imitation almost always favors the original, and Jollibee chose a different path. Instead of asking, how can we be more like McDonald's? They asked a more important question. What can we do better for Filipino customers? That shift in thinking changed everything. McDonald's exported a successful American fast food experience. Jollibee built one around the Filipino consumer. The difference wasn't just sweeter spaghetti or rice meals or burgers with a different flavor profile. It was a deeper understanding of what customers valued. Filipinos didn't simply visit restaurants to eat quickly. Meals were family occasions, celebrations, rewards after exams, treats after payday. Jollibee recognized that emotional context and built its business around it. Its restaurants felt welcoming to families, its menu reflected local eating habits, its pricing made dining out more accessible. Its advertising spoke the language of Filipino life. Rather than convincing Filipinos to adopt a foreign dining culture, Jollibee adapted itself to the culture that already existed. That decision became one of its greatest competitive advantages because competing isn't always about having a better product. Sometimes it's about understanding your customer better than anyone else. And during the 1980s, Another factor quietly strengthened that connection. The Philippines was experiencing political uncertainty and economic hardship. For many Filipino businesses, it was a difficult period. By the end of the decade, what had once seemed unlikely was becoming reality. Jollibee wasn't merely surviving the arrival of McDonald's, it was becoming the market leader. Not because it copied the world's biggest fast food company, but because it understood the Filipino customer in ways that no global playbook could fully replicate. Ask someone why they love Jollibee, and they'll probably mention Chicken Joy, or Jolly Spaghetti, or Peach Mango Pie. But products alone don't explain loyalty. If they did, every competitor could simply copy the menu. What Jollibee built was much harder to imitate. It sold an emotional experience. Jollibee understood that food means something different in the Philippines. Meals aren't just about satisfying hunger. They're how families celebrate birthdays, welcome loved ones home, reconnect after long days apart, or simply spend time together. Food is deeply connected to relationships, and Jollibee embraced that long standing Filipino culture. Its restaurants became places where childhood memories were created, where report cards were rewarded, where birthdays were celebrated, where grandparents, parents, and children gathered around the same table. Even the company's advertising reflected that understanding. Rather than focusing only on product features or low prices, many of its campaigns emphasized family, togetherness, joy, and shared experiences. One of its enduring slogans, Langhap Sarap, did more than describe delicious food. It invited customers to remember the comforting aroma of meals shared with people they love. The message wasn't simply our food tastes good. It was, this feels like home. The mascot also played an important role. The smiling bee appealed naturally to children, creating excitement long before families even reached the counter. For Filipinos, Jollibee became associated with happy memories. That emotional connection created something every business hopes to achieve. Customers stopped seeing Jollibee as just another restaurant. It became part of family traditions. And that's one of the most powerful forms of competitive advantage. Because prices can be matched, recipes can be copied, restaurants can be renovated, but memories are much harder to replace. By the late 1980s, Jollibee had built something much bigger than a successful fast food chain. It had become a beloved Filipino brand. But success in the Philippines raised a new question. If Jollibee understood Filipino customers so well, could it succeed with customers who weren't Filipino? That question would shape the company's next chapter, one that would take it far beyond the shores of the Philippines. By the 1990s, Jollibee had accomplished what many thought was impossible. A homegrown Filipino fast food chain had become the market leader in its own country while competing against many of the world's most recognizable brands. For many companies, that would have been enough. Protect the market, open more branches, enjoy steady growth. But Jollibee wasn't content with being the biggest restaurant chain in the Philippines. It wanted to become something much larger, a global restaurant company. That challenge, however, was very different this time. Understanding Filipino customers had helped Jollibee dominate its home market. But success overseas required understanding entirely different cultures, tastes, and consumer habits. The strategy that worked in Manila wouldn't automatically work in Los Angeles, London, or Seoul. So, Jollibee expanded in two ways. First, it continued opening Jollibee restaurants in countries with large Filipino communities, allowing overseas Filipinos to reconnect with the flavors they grew up with. But management also recognized that relying on a single restaurant brand would limit its long term growth. Instead of trying to make every customer around the world eat Chicken Joy, Jollibee began building a portfolio of restaurant brands. Over the years, it acquired and invested in businesses across different cuisines and markets. Chowking strengthened its position in Chinese-style quick-service dining. Greenwich expanded its reach into pizza and pasta. Red Ribbon added bakery products. Mang Inasal became one of the country's leading grilled chicken chains. Beyond the Philippines, the company expanded even more aggressively. It acquired the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, Smash Burger, Vietnam's Highlands Coffee, the international rights to Tim Ho Wan, Milksha, and more recently, South Korea's Compose Coffee. These acquisitions reflected a shift in strategy. Jollibee was no longer trying to grow a restaurant chain. It was building a global restaurant group. Acquisitions offered clear advantages. Instead of spending years introducing an unfamiliar brand into a new market, Jollibee could acquire businesses that already had loyal customers, experienced management teams, and established operations. It was a faster path to international growth, but it was also a riskier one. Different cultures, different management styles, different customer expectations. Each acquisition brought new challenges, and Smash Burger illustrates this well. After acquiring the American burger chain, Jollibee faced the difficult task of improving operations and profitability. The turnaround required years of work, demonstrating that acquisitions don't automatically translate into success. That's why investor opinions on Jollibee's international strategy have often been divided. Supporters argue that expanding through acquisition is essential if the company wants to compete on a global scale. Critics point to integration challenges, acquisition costs, and the time required before investments begin generating meaningful returns. Neither perspective is entirely wrong. Building a global restaurant company has never been simple. The world's largest restaurant groups didn't reach their scale overnight. They grew through decades of experimentation, acquisitions, and strategic adjustments. Jollibee is still on that journey. Its story is no longer just about competing with McDonald's in the Philippines. It's about answering a much bigger question. Can a business born out of two small ice cream restaurants in Manila become one of the world's great restaurant companies? The answer is still being written. It's tempting to view Jollibee's story as an underdog tale, a small Filipino company defeating an American giant. It's certainly a compelling narrative, but it's also an incomplete one. Because Jollibee's greatest achievement wasn't simply outperforming McDonald's in its home market. It was building a company capable of evolving through every stage of its journey. When customers wanted something different, it changed. When the market became more competitive, it differentiated itself. When growth opportunities appeared overseas, it expanded beyond its original business model. Every chapter of Jollibee's history reflects the same principle: adaptation. And perhaps that's why its story continues today. McDonald's remains one of the world's strongest restaurant brands. Competition in the Philippines is fiercer than ever. Consumer preferences continue to change. Technology is reshaping how people order food. International markets remain unpredictable. Yet Jollibee continues investing, experimenting, expanding. Not because success is guaranteed, but because standing still is rarely an option. The lesson isn't that Jollibee became bigger than its competitors. The lesson is that it refused to stop evolving. And that's a challenge every business eventually faces. Not whether it can succeed once, but whether it can keep adapting long after success arrives. Jollibee's journey offers lessons that extend far beyond the restaurant industry. The company's defining opportunity didn't come from a market study or a consultant. It came from customers repeatedly asking for something that wasn't on the menu. Great entrepreneurs don't just sell, they observe. Sometimes your customers discover your best business opportunity before you do. Differentiate, don't imitate. When McDonald's entered the Philippines, Jollibee could have tried to become a local copy of a global brand. Instead, it focused on understanding Filipino consumers better than anyone else. Competition isn't always about having more resources. Often, it's about creating value in ways your competitors can't easily replicate. And in business, growth demands reinvention. Every stage of Jollibee's journey required a different strategy. Opening an ice cream shop, building a fast food chain, competing with global brands, managing international acquisitions. The skills that create success are rarely the same skills that sustain it. Businesses that survive for decades are the ones willing to reinvent themselves again and again. The next time you walk into a Jollibee restaurant, remember that it all started with a family who chose to listen instead of assume. A simple question from customers led to a bold decision. That decision became a company. That company became a national icon. And today, its journey is still unfolding. The story of Jollibee isn't just about burgers, fried chicken, foreign competition, or global expansion. It's about the power of adapting to change without losing sight of who you are. Because in business, the companies that last aren't always the ones with the biggest ideas. They're the ones who are willing to keep learning. Thank you for watching Business Untold, the stories behind the brands we know. If you enjoyed this episode, then please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Next time, we'll uncover how a small t-shirt store became one of the Philippines' most iconic lifestyle brands. Can you guess which one? I'll see you in the next story.